$2.5 billion he just announced is essentially a start to make sure things are starting to get prepared because, like the CDC is saying, it's inevitable it's going to become here. It's not so much if, but when this is going to happen. And when it does happen, it could, depending on how robust it is, cause a disruption in our lives. And so the CDC is brushing off their pandemic response. This doesn't mean we're even close to a pandemic. What it means is they just want to be prepared, and that's part of that $2.5 billion. And they're talking about things like possibly, shutting down schools, shutting down big events, doing more telework, these different things, but also getting that public health sector set up so it's able to take care of not just us here, but the president said we want to take care of other countries that can't take care of themselves or are having difficulty. Make sure we help them as well because, like the CDC said and the NIH said, if it happens in these other countries, right now we know it's Japan, South Korea, Iran, and Italy. That means it's going to come here at some point too because it's hard to keep this border completely closed. And if it starts coming here, it could disrupt a lot of things around here. They just want to be ready for that.
So let me ask you, hypothetically, if the Olympics started next week in Japan, would you go or would you cancel them?
I think if the Olympics started next week in Japan, I would go, but I would be very careful about what I did when I was over there. I would make sure that I did all the things I needed to do. Number one, I have my flu shot. Number two, I'm constantly washing my hands, not touching my face, all those appropriate things, and avoid the contacts that I know that are sick at this point. But I'm just one person going over there. If there's a whole community of people over there, that could cause a completely different issue because not everybody's going to take those types of precautions, and it could spread further. So I think there's a difference between the Olympics starting right now or next week and the Olympics starting 3 or 4 months from now. I think we're going to see a change in the coronavirus over time. We're just not sure which way it's going to go. And in China, they said they've noticed it's plateaued over the last few days. Hopefully the other part of the world starts seeing that as well. And what the World Health Organization said was, let's give it 6 weeks. In 6 weeks, we're going to have a lot more information on where this is going. That seems like a long period of time, but you have to remember that the coronavirus, this one has only been with us for a few months to begin with.
Hey, Dr. Torres, it's Meg Terrell. One of the things the CDC said today is that if we do go into these mitigation efforts, one of the things we need to do are environmental efforts like keeping everything really clean, wiping off surfaces, wiping off things you use. And I've got a kid in daycare. He gets sick multiple times every winter. What is the likelihood we can actually contain a coronavirus like this that a lot of people have compared to as spreading like the flu? Can we actually do that by keeping things clean and washing our hands?
It's going to actually be a huge step forward to try and keep it as contained as possible, but things are going to break through that containment. And we know that regardless of how much message we put out there, how often we're saying, clean these surfaces, here's how you do it, here's the equipment to do it, it doesn't get done at that 100% level, even in hospital settings. And so it's hard to keep it completely contained. And that's why they have a second step where if it does start breaking out in the community, they start going into that community and quarantine certain areas to make sure it doesn't spread from there. So they have contingencies for these types of things. You're right. Especially with children, small children, the hardest thing to teach them is to keep their hands away from their face and to wash their hands constantly. So it's going to be very tough, especially at that level, to keep them from getting sick. But hopefully it doesn't spread much further than we think it's going to spread at this point, which, again, is being very well contained here. And one of the things they said is it's not so much a community spread as a family-type spread, meaning it's not permeating throughout the communities. It's these close contacts that are at great risk right now, and hopefully it stays that way.